On July 29th, Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford will be facing each other in the ring, and pros are putting out some pretty shocking predictions. When Mike Tyson gave his prediction, he pointed out that the key to his thoughts was looking at how the two fighters handled fighters they both fought. Mike stated, "The reason why I say Crawford is because looking at the guys they both fought, like Porter and stuff, nobody did to Porter what he did to him." Oscar De La Hoya couldn't be more excited for the fight. Oscar stated, "I love the fight. Look, people say it's 4 years too late. No, it's perfect timing. Both guys are undefeated. Both guys seem like they're on top of their game. Finally, the best is fighting the best at welterweight, which makes me happy. I do favor Crawford, that's my personal opinion, just by style. Crawford's arsenal is much more extensive, more versatile. He's got great footwork. He's got the punches in bunches. He throws combinations. I might be wrong, but that might be a little too much for Spence." James Toney definitely sees Crawford winning this one, and he's hoping for a knockout finish. James stated, "Spence is a hell of a fighter. Crawford's a hell of a fighter. Let's see who here is the best. I like both of them, but Crawford's my dude, and really, I think he's too much for Spence. But we'll find out. I'm not being biased, I'm just saying Crawford's a better fighter. He's fought better competition. A late round stoppage, yes, knockout. When Spence fought Kell Brook, he went 11 rounds with him, right? Crawford fought him 4 rounds, fight was over. I love Sean Porter, he's my guy, but he beat the brakes off him. 100% Porter exposed Spence when he fought him. Manny Pacquiao doesn't see this being a knockout fight though. He stated, the style advantage. Crawford has that advantage against Spence. It depends on how they prepare for the fight. I don't think it ends in a knockout. It's gonna be a 12-round decision." Teddy Atlas disagrees and he believes there will be a knockout as well. Teddy stated, "I think Crawford stops him late in the fight. I love Spence, don't get me wrong. He's the naturally bigger guy at welterweight. He's a hell of a puncher and he's got Olympic pedigree, so he knows what he's doing technically. But at the end of the day, there's one thing that Crawford has better than anybody: instincts. You can't coach instincts, you either got it or you don't. And he's got some of the greatest instincts I've ever seen in a fighter." Calvin Ford is excited for this fight and he thinks that this is going to be a very close one.
Spence, Crawford, who wins?
That's what I'm going to leave away. I told you that's a coach's dream right there. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said again, Spence is the bigger guy. He's been in that weight class for a long period of time. The question I ask people, throughout both of their career, which one been hurt in their career since they've been fighting? And then we'll know who the winner.
Okay,
that's the answer.
Shakur Stevenson sees the fight ending early, but he's not too sure which fighter will deliver the final blow. Shakur stated, "I think I'll be leaning more toward a knockout. I think with both of them fighters, both of them dudes, they're thoroughbreds. They're gonna want to fight. I feel like, honestly, no matter how you picture the fight going or going to the elite level, I think both of them are itching to punch each other, so it's like fire against fire in there." Shane Mosley is leaning towards Crawford coming out on top, but he definitely thinks that this fight is as even as it can get. He stated, "It's hard for me to say, but I think that before I was thinking that Spence had more of the edge because I thought that maybe he was a better boxer. He can move around and outpoint Crawford. When you're not 100% and you're going up against another opponent that's just as good as you, it's very hard to beat them. So I think that Crawford is probably 100% and he's a game fighter. He's willing to win. So I'm leaning more towards Crawford because of that. I'm not saying Errol Spence won't be able to beat him. It could be a 50-50 fight. I just think that with all the things that happened to Spence, that takes a big toll and there might be a hard hill to climb up in that fight." Originally, Stephen A. Smith thought that Spence had the upper hand due to size, but he's not so sure anymore. Smith stated, "If this were before the nasty car accident that Errol Spence got into, I had Errol Spence beating him because Bud's too small. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think Bud Crawford has grown into his body. I actually think he's the superior boxer. I think that Errol Spence is bigger and stronger, but Bud can box, has a lot of heart, isn't scared, and can hurt you. If I had to bet, I'd bet for Bud to win by decision, but either of them could take each other out." Tim Bradley thinks there are mistakes that Spence can't afford to make in a fight with Crawford. Bradley stated, "The problem that I see with Spence every now and then is that when he can't get to you, he pushes the temp a little bit more and he starts making mistakes and lunging forwards with his attacks. You can't do that with Crawford. Some people say like a car accident hasn't even stopped this man. Spence is different, he's built differently. I get it, I understand, but you don't understand that Crawford is a different animal and the best fighter of this generation. He can make adjustments, has more tools in his toolbox to be able to make adjustments against what Spence does." Adrian Broner believes this is going to be a technical and intense fight.
Spence and Bud Crawford have agreed to fight. How do you see that fight playing out in the ring?
It's gonna be a crazy chess match, but a war. They're gonna fight. They're gonna fight to death. They're gonna fight the shit out of each other, and it's crazy because I got personal relationships with both of them. But of course, I'm closer to Errol. You know, even though me and Terence, we close as shit too, and his whole team, my whole team love their whole team. Like, it's a fight that boxing need. It's a fight that both of them need, and I really see a trilogy in this whole thing with them.
Wow.
I honestly can see a trilogy, and both of them guys retiring.
Carl Froch believes this is going to be a very close fight too, but he sees one fighter having a slight advantage in the end. Carl stated, "I like the older, wiser Terence Crawford. Errol Spence is a fantastic talent, a great fighter. Crawford is as well, but he's just a bit older and a bit wiser, and when he needs to, he can step it up a level. He's a bit similar to Alexander Usyk in the heavyweights. If he has a bad round, he then just steps on the gas. I think Crawford has that slight extra gear and is that little bit more special. So I'd say Crawford beats Spence, but it really is a 51-49% fight, nothing in it. It's one I'm really looking forward to." Kell Brook has seen what they can do firsthand, but he thinks that the key to victory here rests with Crawford for one simple reason. Kell stated, "It's a fight where I've been in with both of them, and it's a funny one because I could get this wrong. The reason being that styles make fights. Spence is a natural southpaw, and I think that may cause Crawford some problems. But I'm going for Crawford to win that fight. He's a switch hitter. He's like a surgeon in there. Very precise, great finisher, and he's a great fighter. They're both great fighters, but I'd have to lean towards Crawford. He's been more active than Spence, who's been in a big car crash. He's not really been active like Crawford." Freddie Roach also likes the fact that Terence can switch things up, but he's a good friend of his as well. Freddie stated, "I have Crawford. I like him. He's a friend of mine. He's a good person, and he goes out there with his game plan. He might turn southpaw or righty in the second, and then he carries through. I like him a lot. I think he's one of the best fighters in the world today. I think he's thoughtful, and he counterpunches really well." Bernard Hopkins really thinks that this is going to be a close fight in the end, and he's glad he's not judging it. Bernard stated, "This fight can go down easily controversial, based on who did less, who did more, what fans might say, and what the judge might say. If this fight goes the distance, I wouldn't want to be the judge. Bernard Hopkins wouldn't want to be the judge. It's that damn close." If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.